Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Illustration Department podcast. My name is Giuseppe Castellano. In this podcast, I talk to folks in illustration, graphic design, publishing, animation, and other creative fields about their work, the lessons they've learned, and the bumps and bruises they've experienced along the way. In this episode, my guest is Vanessa Robles, Director of Production for Penguin Young Readers. The production of a children's book, from using special effects and inks to adding a shiny award sticker to the cover, is far more complicated and costly than simply hitting the print button. Among the topics, Vanessa and I discuss what role the unsung production team serves in bringing a book to life. She explains why the number 16 is important in book production. And Vanessa and I discuss why we all need to put a little more respect on production's name. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Vanessa, I'm not surprised that you fixed our audio issue because as a production person, that's basically your job. Your job is to fix the designer's problems.
Yep. We solve problems all day long.
I mean, that's what you have on your business card, right? Problem solver.
Problem solver. Mm-hmm.
Jim Hoover says hello.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim. And he says you're tops. So
Aw.
There it is.
Very sweet.
No, he's a total jerk. No, I'm kidding. I love the guy. I mean, you sound great. I don't know what kind of headphones you're using, but you sound amazing.
Okay, great. So
like
do
we're
you.
In the same room. Okay.
You have DJ, disc jockey voice.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, CNC Music Factory. Sorry, that's a 90s reference for you kids out there.
No, that's me. I'm not that young.
we're in the same generation, I think.
Yes, Gen X.
Love it. The best generation.
Of course.
My kids are always ragging on me when I tell them that. I'm like, okay, don't worry. You disagree with me now, but when you guys get older, you're going to look back and go, thank God I was raised by a Gen Xer. Right?
Mm-hmm. Amazing parents we are. Thank you.
Hello. I mean, we're decent with finances. We have great music taste.
Yep.
We're chill. We work, but we're chill.
Yes.
And we're pretty progressive. We let people live their lives, and we don't want anyone to bother us.
Correct.
Done.
Exactly.
Everyone should be like that.
Everyone should be like that. It would be a happy world.
Let's not even go that direction. You work remotely now, right? That wasn't always the case. I mean, you've been around in the production field world of publishing for 20 plus years, 26 years now?
26 years, yes.
You were in-house before, now you're not.
Correct. We were in-house and then COVID changed things.
How?
Everybody had to be from home for a while, right? Everybody was on lockdown. We just, as production, the company in general did amazing, but as production people always do, we pivot, we go with the flow, we adapt to the changes.
Yeah.
And we just had to start working from home and figure things out. I think PRH just realized that, people were happier, employees were happier, productivity was real good. During COVID, we did our best numbers that year in sales.
Right.
And I guess as corporate was thinking about it, they offered, the opportunity. They did a survey and they said, we really want to hear back from our employees. What are you feeling? Do you want to stay working from home? Are some of you interested in coming back into the offices, working hybrid? And so a lot of PRH employees decided they really loved the work from home flexibility. Mm-hmm. Ultimately, they decided that they would allow us that ability to work from home. And those that wanted to be hybrid they could come in a few days a week, access, all of the resources available in the building. And that's how they came to that decision.
When I worked at SNS and Penguin, the design crew and the production crew were tight. Mm-hmm. We were always in their office. They were always in our office. We would sit down and look at Pantone books and books with different kinds of papers and textures for end papers, usually, those kinds of things. We'd discuss what we want to do on the cover, if there's any special effects that, we could afford, which you and I will talk about later. Matte versus gloss, spot gloss, blind gloss, all these things, right? Mm-hmm. So there was a real connection between the design and the production teams. And it was easy because they were across the hall.
Exactly.
Now, how do you do that?
I miss that collaboration, by the way. It's just so organic, Oh, yeah. But now it's all through Teams. Oftentimes we will get on a call with our designers if they want to discuss effects or stock options for a particular jacket. Sometimes what we'll do is we'll also invite the component sales rep on those calls as well. The designer will usually have some sort of a JPEG or some sort of, even though it's not final, some sort of art for the sales rep to see, and we'll discuss our options.
Like they'll show their screen or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that. Sometimes I have to mail samples to them. Either if I have them on hand, I'll mail it out to them and we'll get on a call and discuss it together. Or if not, the jacket printer will mail that out to them as well. And if I happen to be in the city, then we can meet up, pick a time and day that we can meet up and see each other in person.
Right. There are costs involved in what you just described, which I assume go against the book. Or maybe just an overall production expense report.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really... We're getting audited these days, and they really want us to be super detailed and itemize every single expense. But things like this kind of get overlooked, and they're lumped into some bucket that we don't see. I'm not exactly sure. Oftentimes, they could just land in our department's budget because we're using our department code for those proofs.
Oh, yeah.
And it may not necessarily be going against the ISBN, even though it technically should.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember when I used to code all of our expenses, we'd have a sheet and like, okay, for this, if you took an illustrator out to lunch, here's the code. If you ordered supplies, here's the code. Sometimes the expenses would go against the ISBN. Using a crayon, because we can go real deep into this and lose everybody, but let's just use a crayon to sort of explain what it means to go against the book.
Okay, so costs that would go against the book or the ISBN would be prep fees, plant costs, right? Anything like art fees that are associated with creating the cover.
Okay.
Manufacturing prep fees at our interior vendor. So any outputting of the files and downloading proofs, all of that is charged against the ISBN. Case dies, spine dies, PDF that we're sending to create dies, that's posted against the ISBN.
Special effects.
Jacket, cover, prep cost as well.
And papers.
Either if it's blues, PDFs, or if not, if it's Epsons, and papers, inserts, dies, if it's a foil job or an embossing job, those dies are going to be all posted against the ISBN.
Right. Die cuts for flaps, stuff like that.
Yes.
I just heard like ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching,
Oh,
ka-ching.
yeah.
And so it can cost for, let's just go, because I know you've worked on so many different formats, basically every format throughout your career, but let's just stick to picture books because I think that's what most people are interested in knowing about. And it kind of applies to the other books as well. With a picture book, there are so many different components. The flaps, the case, the end papers, the whatever. And sometimes the paper on the interior, I remember having conversations with production in which we had like a choice between two, a better quality and a medium quality, maybe sometimes a lower quality. And it's like, oh, if we go with like one quality lower, we'll save, whatever it was, 0.01 cents per unit. How much does a $20, $16.99 to $19.99 picture book cost to make? Is that a dumb question?
No. I mean, they can be, a simple picture book will probably cost you, 25 to like 40 cents, depending on what's on it.
Right.
They're not as, overall really expensive to make, especially because we print them overseas in Asia.
Oh, right. We didn't even talk about shipping, warehousing.
Yeah, we're not, predominantly where I would say 95% of our books are printing in Asia, specifically picture books and graphic novels.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have the occasion where we need to do a rush printing, and the time just doesn't allow, and we will print them domestically. In that case, it's over $1 a unit. It could be,
Right. So let's just say for easy math, 50 cents a unit. What would be like a typical initial print run? 10,000 copies?
It can be smaller. Nowadays, we're not printing. They're very strategic about making sure that they don't have excess inventory at our warehouse. So oftentimes, depending on if it's a debut novel or if it's, a picture book that's just, like Dragon Lifts Tacos, that's just, that series is just always going to print like 50,000 probably or more. But I would say 5,000, 7,500, 10,000 is like really healthy. I would say less.
Okay. So let's be healthy and say 10,000
Okay.
at 50 cents a unit. If my math is correct, that's $5,000. But that doesn't include the author fee, the illustrator fee, right?
That's not put into our P&L.
Right. We're just talking about production cost.
Exactly.
Not total cost. So it can add up. And I guess the point I'm trying to make here is I think there is a misconception, not with anyone who listens to this podcast, but generally speaking, that there is this like giant silo of gold coins that publishers just like dive into and grab a handful of gold coins and they can pay for anything they want. Why is it such a struggle to get a spot gloss? Why is there always a back and forth with special effects, those kinds of things? It's because all of that goes against the book.
Yeah, it costs money. Especially with supply chain issues now and tariffs, in the world we're living in. I was just going to
ask you about tariffs.
Yeah, raw materials, the price has just gone up tremendously. We import a lot of our materials. Our binders import a lot of their materials. Just glue alone, for the adhesive, we're not making that domestic. We're importing that. So when raw materials go up, tariffs, including that as well, it just becomes extremely difficult to be able to give the designers and the publishers all the bells and whistles that they would love to have on a book.
Right.
It's just not realistic, especially because we're trying to be competitive at a price point, especially in young readers. We don't have the price point that adult books do. Adult books can go for like $29.99, $34.99.
Exactly.
Our picture books are going to be very low. Our graphic novels are going to be a low price point of like $14.99 or $12.99.
Right.
$17.99.
What are readers? $7.99, $8.99?
Yeah, early readers.
Early readers.
So, and paperbacks tend to be $9.99, $10.99, $11.99.
Yeah.
So it can be difficult to make a profit on books like that with such a low price point. And then you have, like we were just explaining, all of these prep costs put against this ISBN, not to mention all the overhead that our company has in marketing and everything else if you want to start getting into it, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we had a little bit of a round table here where you're here, there's the director of marketing to my right and the director of design to my left, we could be talking about how a lot of the costs for each of these departments do go against the book still. Marketing costs don't come from a silo of gold coins.
No.
Goes against the book. Why are marketing teams paying more money for marketing? Because it just continues to diminish the bottom line of the P&L. Now, I'm not making a judgment on whether it's right or it's wrong, or it just, what I'm trying to do here is just lay out, this is kind of how it works. We got the 10,000 copies. You were talking about, you want to be strategic about it because then if you go with a 10,000, like you have an eager editor, which I'm sure you've worked with, one or two who've been like, we're going to go 10,000 copies. And everyone's like, are you sure about that? It sells 7,000 after a couple of years. The field reports are coming in from the reps and it's like one book has sold. Like this book looks like it's dying on the vine. It's not going to cover the 10,000. So illustrators know that if it doesn't cover the initial advance, you're not getting your royalties. But from your perspective, so now we have 25, let's say 7,500 sold. We have 2,500 in the warehouse that will not sell. I remember there being conversations about like those go to the more discount stores or something. Is that when that happens? What happens if you now have 2,500 copies in a warehouse and you know they're not going to the bookstores? Where are they going?
I'm not exactly sure of that answer, Giuseppe, simply because production is probably left out of the conversation. But I want to say what you were saying. It could be like heavily discounted stores and potentially There's some books that, PRH is great with offering like employee discounts for us to be able to get books. But another perk that they have is they offer free books to the employees. Those are the books that are kind of like sitting in the warehouse. Mm-hmm. And so some of the employees get a chance to, they'll send you a list of titles and images and you can select. So I think some of those books that also sit there and they're not selling and they just have overages, they also try to encourage employees to, hey, we have all these free books. Take some.
Because the absolute last resort is remaindering.
Correct. I mean, it's a loss.
Which is basically pulping the books?
Mm-hmm. Worst case scenario, yeah, they'll be destroying the book, pulping them. Because it costs money to have them sit there, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. You're like the warehouse, it isn't just like, oh, it's there and there's zero cost for having a book in the warehouse. You have to pay for that space.
You're paying for that space, all the overhead, all the people that are keeping the warehouse going, and
sure.
Those trucks or whatever, those little trucks that get the pallets down, and they get the books for you. And, these are huge, huge warehouses.
Are they still in like Western Maryland mostly?
Yeah, we have some. We have Crawfordsville and then Westminster. Westminster is in Maryland.
Shout out to Maryland.
Crawfordsville is in Indiana.
Okay. I'm not so familiar with Indiana. I'm out on Indiana. I'm in on Maryland, though, as a Maryland boy.
Okay.
Sorry, Indianans. Indianans? I don't know what people are called. Indiana are called. One of the things that I, as a designer, was always kind of never sat quite right with me was something you just said, how production sometimes is left out of the conversation. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I haven't been in publishing for a few years now, so maybe things have changed. But for 20 years, there was always, cover, when we had discussions about the covers, early on discussions about a book, the production team wasn't there. The production team would come in when the editor was putting together their profit and loss statements. They would obviously be working with you and talking to you about like, here's what we're thinking about doing. And then you then cost out what it is that they want.
So it's somewhat still like that. I think design and editorial are trying to get better. We've been pretty vocal about asking art and editorial to include production earlier on in the process, especially when it's going to be a title that they anticipate that they want to make beautiful out the gate, right? Make it really fancy, either with foil embossing or now all the latest rage is printed or stained edges. So those are conversations that production really needs to be involved early on.
Why?
Because it's a timely addition to the production timeline. Mm-hmm. Adding edges is going to add a time to your proofing stage. We're going to need to request dummy books showing us the actual edge. There's no way that you can proof that on a PDF file. You actually need to see a physical book.
Right.
With the edges printed on it so that you can see ink on paper and what that design is going to look like. That takes time. That dummy proof will come to me and the designer.
Oh, they'll like send 2 copies or whatever. Okay.
Yeah. So that's time on that end, right? If they don't like how it looks and they need to go back to press, make some revisions, we want a little bit more saturation here. We want you to pull back on this color or whatever edits the designer feels they need to make. We need to allow for that time. Mm-hmm. That's one. And then that's expensive. 2, on top of all the other components going on, right? Usually when they want edges, they usually want to trick out the jacket too. And it's either beautiful foil job, embossing, spot gloss, you name it. Then they'll want printed end papers. So all of these extra components, right, add another layer of complexity to the job. Right. And so when these jobs are so complex, and they're usually jobs that they're anticipating usually like a B&N exclusive, or maybe they have a Walmart edition along with it. So we'll have various editions on this type of project. So that's adding time. It's adding different layers of complexity, just tracking that the production manager needs to do, and also for the printer. So that's going to add extra time and extra cost to the schedule. So when we're brought in early on, we're able to anticipate what that's going to look like. And we're able to give them a schedule early on, as opposed to them, not bringing us in early on and all of a sudden now, they realize that the on sale date that they chose isn't a good fit for printing overseas.
Right,
And then they'll have to print it domestically, and it's going to cost them an arm and a leg, pretty much like 2 to 3 times more than what it would cost in Asia, because they didn't bring us in earlier thinking that they could get all of these effects for a tighter deadline, for that on sale date that they wanted. Right. So when they bring production in early on, we can demystify all of that for them. We can tell them exactly what they're going to be facing and encountering, and they can plan ahead for that.
Right. Just make it work, Vanessa. Can't you just make it work?
Well, usually that's what we do. That's what we always do. Somehow or the other, we make it work. If they're up against the gun and time just isn't working, we make it work domestically. So our numbers don't always look good, but our product is beautiful. At the end of the day, we're rushing it through. We're doing what we need to do. And ultimately, we get a beautiful product out there for the public.
Speaking of beautiful product, some books win awards, which get medals, which are stickered onto the covers. What's your involvement with getting the stickers on the covers and like, how does that work?
So usually because I'm in initials, by the time the book is out and gets that award, it's usually more on the reprint side.
Okay.
Or if not, our paperbacks. So we usually do get involved more so with the paperback conversions and making sure that that sticker is going to be on there, showing that, this title won that award, the Pulitzer or whatever ALA award. Sometimes if we have a paperback conversion for a picture book or a YA novel that won an award and it didn't win it like initially, like at the hardcover stage, so it hasn't been done at reprints, we can be in charge of making sure we secure the rights to be able to use that sticker. You have to pay to use that sticker. It's not free. People think, we'll slap a sticker on it, it won an award, how fabulous, but you have to pay.
So PRH pays ALA for the Caldecott sticker.
Yeah. You have to pay to use that sticker.
Can I ask how much, or is that like...
I can't say.
I know.
But...
I tried.
On top of that, you have the actual expense of printing that sticker now and whatever that cost is associated with.
Yes.
And then also with the actual application of that sticker to the jacket with the bindery. So stickers are great. It's a great way to kind of, show the public, oh, wow, look at the accolade that this book has. But it cost us money.
And we're sort of eating that from the book.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, the goal is that it will sell more. Hopefully it'll sell more and we'll end up recouping that at some point, right? That's the goal in reprints. But initially, no. You're sort of eating that cost.
I used to see all the P&Ls that the editorial team would put together, and there would be that bottom line number. It would either be in black or red. Obviously, we want black.
Yes, we want black.
And I would see in black, it would be something like $78.27 or $115 or $1,026.28. It wouldn't be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $100,000. It would be very, very little. But it's in the black, so we signed it off.
Yeah. I remember many years ago when our P&Ls, our net profit APR was healthy, like 10%, 15%, 20% on a book. Now we're lucky if we get 5%, 7% on something. I think we're moving away from just printing books, and we now want to print books that are art. Mm-hmm. A YA is trying to position itself to really be competitive and produce beautiful books that are really going to catch the reader's attention visually.
Smart.
That's great. That's beautiful. It costs money though. And so oftentimes we're in production, that's all we care about, right? The bottom line. Oh, we got to watch the budget. No, we're not making money. No, you should shave that off.
Just make it work, Vanessa.
Yeah. But they don't seem to care. They seem to think like, well, no, this author demands this. This is author care. Like, we want this to come out with this. We know this is going to do well. This is a lead title for us, Yeah. And oftentimes we're signing off on things in the red. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes as just production managers, we sort of have an isolated view. This is just, one piece of the pie. And we're often questioning, well, how are we staying afloat as a company? I don't understand. We go to these meetings and it says we did well. We met our goals. We exceeded them this year, for this. We're looking great. Backlist, exactly. So it's just the overall, we're concerned with just that initial printing. And it's really just it's a larger picture. It's a larger view on how this company runs, on how the business runs and the finances work, right?
Yeah.
Somehow or the other, it works out with our reprints and everything else. Oftentimes they're in the red and we're just flabbergasted. We're like, I can't believe, you're like, no, don't do it. But they do it and it's a beautiful book,
Yeah.
And it sells.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the running joke at Scholastic when had friends that working there when I was a designer, that it was like Clifford and Harry Potter kept that building afloat.
I bet Harry Potter did, yes.
Yeah, everything else was basically a wash. And it was like, thank God for Clifford and Harry Potter. This podcast is produced by the Illustration Department, a global leader in online education for illustrators. Visit illustrationdept.com for offerings like mentorships and portfolio reviews, testimonials, our alumni showcase, our best-selling Substack, and more. That's illustrationdept.com. And now, back to our conversation. How often do you or have you traveled abroad to, what is it called? Proof on site?
Press okay?
Press okay? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, press okays or press checks.
Yeah, that's it. Press checks.
So I have not had that opportunity to travel overseas, only domestically.
Okay.
One of my other colleagues has done that. They usually have one person go. It's just really costly and they don't go for everything. And it doesn't happen often.
But if it's like a big, big, big book that everyone's expecting like huge things, then that's usually when there's a press check, right? Or like what triggers a press check?
Yeah, a press check is usually if it's, like you said, if it's just like, it's a huge run. We want to make sure somebody's there on press to make sure color is consistent.
Right.
Either interior or the jacket as well.
Mm-hmm.
The designer will probably come as well. So quantity can dictate that. Author can dictate that.
Right.
Something extremely difficult that, we were having difficulties with the proofing stage, and making sure, that we were happy with it. Something like that, we'd want to definitely make sure and go on press. Mm-hmm. Ever since COVID, that became a little bit more challenging as well. Press checks obviously were halted.
Mm-hmm.
In lieu of those press checks, we would get press proofs if the title, merited it.
Right.
I'm sure you're familiar with press proofs, where it's not just an Epson proof, or a digital printing of that actual jacket, or the interior. It's actually going to press and printing actual ink on paper, whether it's for the jacket or the interior, and we'll proof that and make sure we are happy with that.
Yep.
Which can be costly, but it's a great way to have that final check without you being in person.
I did a press check once. It was domestic, and I can't remember the title. But they gave us like a little bit of a tour of the printing, of the facilities. It was nice. Yeah,
press checks are great. I think it's a great opportunity for designers to see what's going on and how these machines and presses work, right?
Totally opened my eyes. Like, shit, this is how it's put together? Got it.
Yeah, it's just so cool.
Yeah.
Production managers, too, is just great for us to just stay abreast of, what goes on over there and just stay up to date on technology and things of that nature. But it's really cool. I mean, I've been to Wisconsin, Indiana, Maryland, Virginia. So mostly local jobs.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that one day we'll do something in Italy and they'll send me on a press check over there.
I mean, can't go wrong. One of the things that you say you specialize in is crisis management. So one of the things that I was always impressed by the production team's ability to use your word pivot, but almost every crisis, if not every crisis, sort of fell on the production team. It's always seemed like the editorial staff, for whatever reason, I'm not blaming any groups, but like occasionally there would be a lag in the sort of pace of of review and pace of the production of the book from the editorial and design standpoint. That's trying to say it in a very nice way. Basically, people were, sitting on their butts and they weren't routing things. And so what was the printer date publishers call it different things.
File release date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simon Schuster called it out to strip, which we always found really funny.
Oh.
You provided that based on a meeting way earlier, going like, oh, well, if the sketch date is this and the art date is this, then here's your printer date. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone drops the ball, and now we're up against it. It's 6 months until the release date.
Oh, that's plenty of time. It's
Really?
probably less. Well, yeah, picture books, even graphic novels, 6 months is like, woo, great.
Oh,
It's been,
all right.
it'll be less sometimes. And we're like, what? You want us
All
to
right.
do what?
Let's go 3 months then.
Well, no, definitely not 3 months. It's not happening. But yeah, let's say 5 months, 5.
Right. A little under
Sometimes-
the norm.
Yeah, definitely under the norm.
But that burden would always fall on
Yes.
the production team's shoulders every time, and it was our fault.
You said
So-
it, not me.
No, on behalf of the design teams that I used to lead, I apologize.
Thank you.
It sucks.
You're so right. It does fall on us. But I think that's when we rise to the occasion.
course
That's
you
what
do.
we thrive on. It's what we know, that making books is a collaborative effort. It's a team effort. And at least for me, I'm not sure how it is in other areas, but at PRH, we're a team. That means design, editorial, sales, inventory, marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We're a team. So many hands touch this book, right? And finally, it's funneling down to production. It's a relay race. And if you say, tag, you're it, and I now need to speed up my process to make sure I get to the finish line in time, then that's what we're going to do. And what we usually do is just really, we rely heavily on our vendors. That relationship that we have with them, so many years of working with them, we reach out to them and we're like, hey, sales rep, CSR, we're in a pickle. Can you get this to us faster? Maybe we need to reduce the amount of proofs we see. For picture books, we would typically allow time for 3 rounds of proofs, right? Maybe we need to scale that back to 2, not even, maybe 1. Same thing with graphic novels. Maybe we don't have time to see full rounds of like interior color proofs. Maybe we only see some scattered pages and then the rest is going to be in PDFs.
Right.
Also in-house, we're like, guys, you're not going to get the week or 2 weeks that you need to be routing this and reviewing. You need to turn this, once we get you the proofs, you need to turn it around in
God,
2 days.
I remember those days.
Right?
We would get the email warning like, when this hits your inbox,
Yep.
stop what you're doing and review it.
Correct. So everybody kind of has to chip in, and this is where production kind of rises, and they're like, well, this is what we're going to do. This is the game plan. This is what our printer needs from us. This is how they're working with us. So now we need to stick to it.
Exactly.
Our vendors are unsung heroes as well. They do a lot in this partnership that we have with them between production and vendors, and they help us make it a possibility.
Right. You're also, I don't know, you tell me what it's like these days, but I remember back in the day, every time I'd walk into a production person's office, there was a rep there from the printer,
Yeah.
from elsewhere. You tell me where these people are coming from, showcasing the next format, the next type of paper. Who are these reps and where are they from?
There are sales reps from, let's see, some of the places that we would deal with, like Coral Graphics, Phoenix Color, Lakebook, Warzala, Sheridan, Friesens. We have sales reps coming from Hung Hing, from Topan, from CNC, from RRD Asia. The list can go on, right?
Yeah.
We missed that. That was kind of like the best part. These vendors would be there, the sales reps would be there, and sometimes they would just, be checking in, anything going on, anything I can help you with. Sometimes we would have projects that we were very heavily involved with, and they were aware of everything that was going on, and we're getting their expertise, and they're checking in on the project and giving us updates. Sometimes it's just them coming in with new information and sharing new technology that they have available for us to use and for designers to use. It could be like, hey, we have, back in the day when glow-in-the-dark ink or something happened. Oh, we got glow-in-the-dark ink. Oh, how revolutionary. Right. Or like nowadays it's lithofoil. That's a fairly new technology where it's cold stamping versus hot foil stamping. So it doesn't require a dye. And that's something that Phoenix Color does.
So you
But
can get
other
a lot more
vendors,
details?
Yeah, exactly. So cold foil stamping can get you very fine, thin details, almost like filigree if you think,
Oh my gosh.
very
Sign me up.
dainty. And it's a very cool effect.
Yeah.
It's expensive. But so things like that, they're constantly keeping us abreast of new technology. Like soft touch wasn't always around as something relatively new. When that came out, soft
I love
touch,
that feeling.
isn't it?
It's the best.
I'm addicted to it. It's like so velvety and
Same.
soft.
When I was at Simon & Schuster, so this was maybe 20 years ago, or maybe even longer, there was a rep who came in. I don't remember who they worked for. They showed us this new technology for a cover that would be animated. Paper was physical. It wasn't digital. It wasn't like a pull tab necessarily. It was maybe it was a pull tab, and you saw an animated horse running on the cover. I don't remember exactly what the activator was, but I'm pretty sure it was like some sort of pulling tab, or maybe you just tilted the book and so there was a horse, a black and white horse that would run. It was really fascinating, and we didn't do anything with it. Someone else did. I don't remember who, and people listening might know what I'm talking about. There are now tons of books that have this sort of animated paper novelty element. And
It's not a lenticular, is it? It's actually physical paper, like paper?
Yeah, it's a lenticular.
I did it once on a picture book called Skippy John Jones. He was a little cat that thought
Judy
he was
Schachner, podcast guest.
Yes.
Love
So I did it once, a large lenticular, and it showed like 2 to 3 different poses of Skippy John. The reason why we probably don't do it is one is expensive and safety testing and everything else. You know, it was quite the project. I was very proud of it, but yeah, we've never used it again.
Speaking of like 20 years ago, let's go a little old school. So one of the other things that I used to love doing was going to a color correcting room with proper lighting, and we'd look at the printouts, and these weren't just printouts in color, even though like those two printouts in color, but we'd also have something called progressives. Is that what they were called?
Yes. Progs.
What's that short for? Progressives, right?
Progressive proofs. Yeah, it showed you the cyan, the magenta, the yellow, and the black.
Printouts of each of those colors. And so we'd look at that. We'd look at the art, which was back in the day, it was mostly physical. And if it was digital, we'd get, proper printouts of the digital art so we could see it, in the proper lighting with the proper printing anyway. So we'd look at that, we'd look at the proofs, and we'd go like, I think there's a little too much blue in this. So we'd look at the progressives, or whatever they're called, the progs, and look at it and go, gosh, you're right. Look how much blue there is on this page. And so we'd indicate with a marker to the printer, we'd circle an area and say, reduce cyan by, slightly or very slightly. Does that even happen anymore? No,
it doesn't. And I mean, I wish, it'd be great to get a designer's kind of perspective on this. The thing is that we are a PDF workflow now. It's highly encouraged, right? That even our picture books, we release PDFs. So I think because of that change, it's not necessarily, they don't necessarily need to see the progs anymore, because our designers are making those corrections in-house. They're encouraged to pull Epson proofs in-house before they're releasing the files to make sure the color is what they want.
Right. And there are now like pre-press teams at publishing houses that do that. Yeah.
Exactly. And, our Epson proofers are calibrated.
Sure.
Those color profiles for the presses at our printers as well.
Right.
So,
like printer A and printer B, one's in China, one's in Italy. They'll send you presets, and then you set the printers in-house to their presets because that's where your printing is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't need that anymore because they can just adjust the cyan or the magenta on their end.
I used to look at those things through a loop.
A loop, yeah. I still have them.
LOUP, I think it's how it's spelled. The little glass, magnifying glass kind of thing. Those are the days.
It's like old school kind of design and production, and, things have evolved a little bit, and so they're not needed. It's almost like an extra step that's not needed.
Yeah, I mean, who am I to worry about this because I don't have to do this anymore? But I was always taught you can't review anything on a screen. That's how I was taught by my mentors and art directors that I used to work with. And then when I became an art director, I said that to my designers and so on. You can't review it on a screen. You look at it on a screen and you're like, yep, looks great. I used to tell my designers, nope, print it out Because if you,
Correct.
once you print it out and look at it, I promise you all the mistakes will come out. And it's true. It's absolutely true.
Absolutely.
So how are you desktop proofing if, let's say, I'm a designer and I work virtually, I don't have a printer, I'm looking at these proofs on my screen and, am I calibrating my screen? Maybe I'm not. How do you get the accuracy?
They will send the information to the in-house proofer.
Okay.
And they'll have an Epson proof printed out and mailed to their house.
So I'm just imagining everybody has like piles of, because, I know, we used to have like piles of proofs in the corners of our offices because we didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just insane. My house is insane with all the amount of proofs that I get and advances. But yeah, I mean, some designers still live, relatively within commutable, right?
Okay.
Distance. And so they'll go into the office if they know they have a project that they're working on. And they're like, no, I need to pull Epsons for this. I want to go see how it's looking. And
Right.
if they like it, they can send that on to the printer so that they could color match.
Yep.
That's how things have evolved. We're in a hybrid world now. And either we're mailing things in order for them to see the physical. Because as you know, the other, we work in force and CMYK, right? The 4-color. But let's be real. The 5th color is that substrate. It's going to be your jacket, right? It's going to be that raw material because white isn't white. There's all different shades of white and it's going to affect your color.
Yeah.
Right? The white could be creamy. It could be bright white. It could be yellow white, It could be more pinky white. Same thing with interior tech stock. There's all sorts of shades and that's going to affect your overall color. So we really try to encourage our designers to pull an in-house Epson proof to make sure they like the color before releasing that PDF file to the printer.
I'm gonna rag on designers because I was a designer, so I feel like I can rag on my own people. Do you ever get a designer who approved everything, and then the book comes in and they come to you and say, the color isn't right? You're like, well, you approved it.
It happens. It happens. Sometimes they're on point. They're actually correct. The printers
Messed it up.
It got skewed a little bit, from the actual proof that we approved. Not enough to reject it, but enough to be able to complain and say, hey, you need to fix this and reprint, make sure it matches the Epson proof. I would say it's usually more with like novice designers, newer designers that just sometimes may forget that lamination can alter the color a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes that can happen.
All right, Vanessa, I got an old school technique for you. You ready for this? I wonder now if you did this. I'm willing to bet you did. I'm putting money down that you did this.
Okay.
I was taught, we didn't have fancy printers. We had color printers at Simon & Schuster, but that's about it. And I did this at Penguin too, but Penguin had, this was around the time when the bigger printers started coming in, and then we had a pre-press team, and so stopped doing this. But it actually worked quite well. What we would do is we would just print it through a normal Epson printer, and then we'd take packaging tape, rip a piece off, and place the clear packaging tape on the color printout, and that would mimic
Gloss lamb.
Yeah. And it was pretty close.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Some people can do it too with the Scotch tape can be clear or it can have sort of like a frosty look to it.
Sure.
So you can do that kind of tape and it can sort of mimic a little bit of a matte lamb.
Ooh.
Also.
That's fun.
Yeah. And also another thing you can do is this I just found out recently. You can take, let's say you have a jacket or cover that has matte lamb with spot gloss UV as an effect.
Okay.
And you're going to get this Epson proof with the simulation of a matte lamb on it. Because obviously you can't see spot gloss UV, then you have to go to press for that.
Right,
so you can take a clear nail polish and just put that over the areas that you have targeted for spot gloss UV, let it dry, and there you go. It really works.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You got to get creative sometimes.
That's what you got to do. I have one fun story for you, and I hope you have one fun story for me.
Okay.
Sticking with crises. My first days at Simon & Schuster, this is the 90s. So I was not involved. There was a production crisis. A book that they had completed, samples had come in. It's done. It's in the warehouse. It's shipping. it had released. So what it was a board book with a hole that went basically through the whole book. Attached to the back cover was a pig, like a little felt finger puppet pig. So the parent would stick their finger through the puppet, and then when you open the book, the puppet pig is on every spread. Mm-hmm. You have it in your head. I'm
Yes.
hoping that listeners have it in their heads now. Well, the problem was that the pig looked exactly like exactly. I mean, I'm not talking like, oh, you have a dirty mind. No, it doesn't. No, it did.
Oh.
It did. It was a penis.
That's bad.
And it just never occurred to anyone until the book had released.
Oh my God.
So that was you just kind of have to laugh it off and hope it doesn't sell through. So that was one. I mean, there are a couple of other crises that I have in mind, but that was the funniest one.
Oh my God. I can't say that I've had like any memorable crisis. I mean, I've had crisis, but nothing as good as that. But I've had a colleague that has had a bad crisis also. And it has to do with sort of like adult content in a children's book. So I believe this was a children's YA book. It wasn't like a picture book or anything.
Okay.
And it was a printer error. What happened was apparently this printer had printed an adult book prior to running our job on press.
Oh my God.
And some of their SIGs got left behind and got mixed in and bound into our book. And it was illustrations of adult bodies that got bound into this book. And we didn't realize it until we had a customer complaint. And it was pretty embarrassing and it was pretty bad. We're like, oh my gosh, this is really bad. So
20,000 units get pulped.
yeah. And to this day, they have procedures in place, specifically like if they're printing YA books, there's something that they have either they wait they have a few jobs in between or whatever. Like if they're printing adult books, they cannot run a YA book right after.
Amazing.
They're not supposed to because, it's human error, maybe one or two SIGs or a couple get left behind in a pocket. You didn't realize it. You didn't see it.
Right.
And you start running this new job and it gets bound in. So, yeah.
See, that's the kind of nitty gritty info that you're not going to get any other podcast. Let me tell you right now. That's incredible. By the way, you've said SIGs a couple of times. We're not talking about cigarettes. We're talking about signatures.
Signatures, folded and gathered signatures that come off press for the interior.
They are divisible by 16.
16 or 32s. Mm-hmm.
Ooh. But so 32 could be considered like a 32-page signature or a double signature.
Correct, a 32-page signature, 16-page SIGs. That's what they like to stay in. It's most cost efficient.
Right. An 8-page signature, a half signature costs more.
Exactly.
Okay.
It can be done, but it's a little bit more costly.
Right. So for folks listening, I'm just keeping the illustrators in mind here. People who want to create picture books, 32 pages is the standard page count for a picture book because it is a 32-page signature or two 16-page signatures. Standard.
Correct.
Fun little assignment for people listening. Look at any book you have in your house. I promise you it's divisible by 16.
Yeah, for sure.
And people count and they're like, no, it's not. Mine isn't. Count all the blank pages. Don't just count the numbers. Count all the blank pages in your novels.
Your front matter and your back matter. It's all in there.
All the paper that's glued to the front and back. Mm-hmm. Vanessa, I could talk to you for freaking days about this. I love talking about this. These are the kinds of conversations I'd be having on the 15th floor back when we were at 345 Hudson. 15th floor with my production crew would be like leaning up against those countertops between people's offices, looking at books, looking at proofs. Man, it was fun.
Good times, yeah.
Good times. So we do have writers and illustrators, book creators listening. From your point of view, what would you want them to know about the production of a children's book?
We're here to bring their vision to life.
Yep.
it's really what we're trying to accomplish here. We really want the author, the illustrators, the artist, the writer to love that final product. That's our goal. And to just remember that we're here. Not a lot of people know who production is, It's all about sales and marketing and publicity and design, and they kind of forget about us. But we're here. We're part of the collaborative effort, and the buck stops with us, right? At the end of the day, we will give you a tangible and physical, beautiful product. And that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure that they're happy. The author's happy, designers are happy, illustrators are happy.
Vanessa can be found on LinkedIn. If you find value in this podcast, you can support it by subscribing to my best-selling Substack. For $5 a month or $50 a year, you will access hundreds of articles on the art, practice, and history of illustration, unlock bonus podcast episodes called Extra Credit, and connect with other members of the ID community. Join me on Substack by visiting illustrationdept.substack.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.